Founded in 1970, Mitsubishi Motors is the 6th largest Japanese automaker and the 19th largest in the entire world. Since Mitsubishi's inception, enthusiasts around the world have been entertained by the on-road prowess of the iconic 3000 GT, Lancer Evolution, and of course the Eclipse. Off-roaders have been treated with the large SUV known as the Montero, and other markets the Pajero and Shogun. And if you wanted to hit the trail in a smaller Mitsubishi, you could opt for the Pajero Sport, known as the Shogun Sport in the UK. And let's not forget the Triton pickup truck on the Mitsubishi Off-Road Hall of Fame either. While these legends live on in our minds and hearts, Mitsubishi is now but a shadow of what our hearts do remember. The early 2000s nearly killed the brand forever. Mitsubishi was caught in 2000 for covering up defects in their cars. Just 4 years later, confessed to 26 more defect cover-ups dating back as far as 1977. An attempt to save face in North America, Mitsubishi offered its 000 program, 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for an entire year. As you can guess, thousands of people defaulted on their payments once the 12-month grace period ended. They do say there's no such thing as a free lunch. This cost Mitsubishi nearly $500 million and hundreds of thousands of sales by 2006. And it just wasn't in the USA where Mitsubishi diminished. Production ended in Australia in 2008, ended in Western Europe by 2012, and ended here in North America by 2015. And just last year, in 2021, Mitsubishi pulled out of selling cars in the UK market forever and also killed arguably their most legendary vehicle, the Pajero. So those only legendary vehicles mentioned at the beginning that are left are now the Triton and Pajero Sport. Currently, Mitsubishi's lineup is largely a rebranded and reworked Nissan lineup of crossovers. And in 2016, Nissan purchased a third of Mitsubishi, which is now the distant third wheel of the Renault-Nissan alliance. So where does Mitsubishi go from here? Looking at the United States sales over at Car Figures, man, it was rough from about 2009 to 2013, only selling 36,000 units in the US, and they had a huge volume push. And this kind of mirrored what was going on with Nissan. Carlos Ghosn was really pushing volume for these brands more than anything. And like I said, in 2015, they ended production. I think that was in Normal, Illinois, which now Rivian uses that plant to build their vehicles. So here in 2022, we're going to look, but is it going to be as good as 2021? Looks like they had a little rebound year after the COVID year. And we're going to switch over to the sales, and it's not looking good. They're about 12,000 units behind versus last year. They're only pacing 86,000 units so far. And going back to Car Figures, 2021, they sold 102,000 units. Not looking good for Mitsubishi, but it's really not looking good and great for anyone in this current market because they can't produce the volume to meet the demand. And this article is what inspired me to make this video today. Where does Mitsubishi go from here? And this is the world premiere of the Mitsubishi Motors compact SUV called the Mitsubishi KFC concept. Well, that's what it looks like to me. Obviously, it's XFC, but here we are. This is going to be my running joke on the channel, the KFC concept. And they debuted it in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. The Asian market and pretty much Southeast Asia is where Mitsubishi thrives. That is their largest market. And of course, they're going to debut their new concept there. No surprise. So we'll be launching in Southeast Asia in the fiscal year of 2023. So that could be as late as the first quarter of 2024. So let's look at this compact crossover. It almost looks like a subcompact crossover. They're calling it a compact crossover, and maybe we get this eventually. We'll talk about product lineup here in a little bit. When I first saw this, first thing I thought was Polestar. These headlight designs are essentially the same outline as Polestar headlight designs. Don't know what to think about it. I mean, it doesn't look bad. I think it's a cute looking SUV. I just can't get over Polestar at this point. I love the wheels. We've seen these style of wheels on the Outlander. And then you also have this kind of honeycomb grille. And then just looking at this, how much air is going in there almost looks like an EV, right? So we also have these illuminated little ducts down here. They probably don't let any air in at all, but these kind of replace fog lights. I like the aggressiveness of the hood. And going to the back image here, what differs from Polestar is Polestar doesn't take their headlight design an outline and put it on their taillight design. So that's where this Mitsubishi KFC XFC concept stands apart, by having the mirroring of the outline on the front headlights to the rear taillights. They have the same sort of front fog light design applied to the rear here, these kind of stretched honeycomb shapes, and that will be a theme. You can even see those honeycombs here on the side, which I don't think is a bad design. I think it's kind of cool. And you also have this brake light right in the middle, of vertical brake light there. The interior, I think, is quite attractive, and I really like the interior of the current Outlander. We have digital side mirrors here, which wouldn't come to the United States more than likely. We also have speakers into the A-pillars, kind of like that honeycomb design on the side of the door. And then you see this nice cloth pattern, very Volvo-like. They must have a thing for Volvo and Polestar designs right now, because this screams Volvo to me, and that's not a bad thing. Probably a double 10 or 12-inch screen setup going on here. That's kind of like the industry standard here. And like, I mean, if you look at the Kia EV6, Ioniq 5, they kind of do this exact sort of thing, but they're not the only ones. This is what comes to mind. Here's the gear shift, and then you have a bunch of honeycomb touch capacitive controls here, and more touch capacitive controls on the steering wheel. Unfortunately, this image is very low quality. I also love the cloth in the middle of the seats. Now, this being a concept, probably that's not going to make it to production. There's a reason why we haven't seen this sort of design before. It's probably just too costly and difficult to make. Now, I mentioned KFC. Now I'm switching to Chick-fil-A, because the color of these seats reminds me of the Chick-fil-A sauce. So I'm getting hungry. I haven't eaten today, so this car is making me kind of hungry at this point. You can see more of that cloth Volvo-like interior of the seat, looking great. It even flows into the back seats there. They say this thing has a ton of rear leg space, which is cool. I also like this panel roof. We don't really get any other images of it, but this panel roof is probably kind of like a hexagon, a stretched six-sided honeycomb sort of thing going on there. Here's the concept in motion. Overall, looks pretty solid. What do you guys think? Would you be interested in a Mitsubishi vehicle that looked like this? Would you be interested if it's only EV? Because that's likely the only way for us to see this here in North America. So we talked a lot about their legendary vehicles in their lineup. So what's left in their lineup globally? Well, we have the Eclipse Cross. We don't get the plug-in hybrid model here, unfortunately. There's the Expander, which looks like, I mean, we don't get that here, but it looks like a MPV version of the Pajero Sport. Here's the Outlander PHEV, which will be debuting. The new one will be debuting in just a month from now in November here in North America. If you haven't seen my review on the normal Outlander, check that out. I really enjoyed the jump in quality, design, etc. on the new Outlander compared to the old one. There's a Triton. Unfortunately, we don't get that. Kind of reminds me of the Mazda BT50. We don't get that truck either. We don't get this ASX, but this is the same thing as the Outlander Sport. So, or the RVR Rover. Yes, we get the Outlander Sport. Pajero Sport, we used to get this thing, I believe. Don't get it anymore, unfortunately, but this thing would be a hot seller in America. Then we have the small 3-cylinder affordable people mover known as the Mirage G4 in America. And then you have the Mirage hatchback also here in America. We don't get the Delica. Well, you can import them now. And they have the EKX EV, which is the same vehicle as the Sakura Nissan. It's a small electric K car. But out of these vehicles on here, we get maybe a half of them or 2/3 of them in America. So let's talk about the roadmap for Mitsubishi. In 2022, like I mentioned, we're getting the Outlander plug-in hybrid. I already made a video comparing that to the RAV4 Prime. I have a RAV4 Prime this week for review. Such a good car. Anyways, just wait for my review on the RAV4 Prime. But the Outlander PHEV gives you a good alternative. Maybe you can't find a RAV4. You don't want to wait for a RAV4 Prime. Outlander PHEV is coming, and it should provide some good competition to the RAV4. In 2023, nothing might happen for Mitsubishi in the United States. If the Asian market's lucky, the Southeast Asian market's lucky, they could get the XKC concept, which we just detailed, but that could slip into 2024 calendar year as well. In 2024, we will get a refresh of the Outlander and a redesign of the Outlander Sport. Now, this could also fall into 2023, the Outlander Sport. And this vehicle is already existing as the Qashqai. The Nissan Qashqai has already been redesigned for other markets, and the Rogue Sport, which is the same thing as a Qashqai, but here in North America, I know it's confusing. I don't know why the Asian automakers call their vehicles different things in different markets. That's the way it is. The next generation Rogue Sport, aka Qashqai, is likely not to come to North America. Instead, Mitsubishi would be able to get this vehicle as the Outlander Sport. So that would be a big benefit. And that could also be a hybrid because the Qashqai has its own new hybrid system that just came out as well. In 2025, we'll get a redesign on the Mirage as well as the Eclipse Cross. And hopefully by that time, we get the plug-in hybrid of the Eclipse Cross. And by 2026, Mitsubishi will have an EV in America. Will it be this XKC in EV form? It's hard to say, but that's really all we have to go on at this point in time. We also had the Evolution EV sort of thing a couple of years ago, now that I'm remembering, but that was more concept-ish than the XKC, as XKC is definitely coming to the market in some parts of the world as early as next year. I really want Mitsubishi to succeed. Maybe for nostalgia purposes more than anything, and competition, right? It's sad to see the small guys leave. It was tough to see Suzuki leave a few years back. Mitsubishi could be the next one in North America to leave. They are kind of dangled along by Nissan at this point. So Nissan's maybe artificially propping them up in America. So it's good to have more Japanese made cars in America than not. And not all Japanese made cars are created equal, however, as you know. But what do you want to see from Mitsubishi in the next 5 years? Which vehicle is the most interesting in their lineup? The Outlander is pretty good. Outlander plug-in hybrid's a good start. But yes, I would rather have maybe the Outlander Sport, a new one, come as soon as possible. I think that'd really help bring more sales to the brand. But really, the problem is not so much with them. Problem so much with the current situation. They're not able to produce the volume due to lack of supplies, microchips, etc. It's affecting Nissan massively as well. But thank you for watching. Again, I got to cut myself off. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day. Peace out.